So content is royalty. So this is where we get to spend our inordinate time, in my opinion. We've heard less text is best. Absolutely. Audio and visuals are excellent reinforcements to your points. I'll talk in the next slide about neurodivergence, but thinking about people that are having a hard time paying attention, sitting still, listening, adding diversity in multimedia will allow people to be more triggered to stay connected to what's going on. So adding in some vulnerability if possible. Can you add a story? My very quick and simple remote year story gave you a little bit of context as to why I thought setting expectations was so important. Maybe that story will allow something in what I shared to stick to the point of making what you're sharing sticky. How can it stick onto that person so that they take it away? What I'm learning, I'm taking a master facilitator course myself, but what I'm also learning is really in that make the start strong and end stronger. So this middle area where people are in, they're out, they're floundering, their attention spans are up and down, it's imperative that the beginning and end are really where all the magic is going to occur. So if you can make bits sticky in between, that will only allow you to be an outstanding facilitator and get what you're trying to really portray across. That could be adding humor, adding a story, adding a hook line, adding a ritual of some kind. The breath situation could be a ritual you add. I know, Murtaza, you do the pictures. So yeah, a ritual, right? So I know citations, you're like, literally what? But the absolute inundation of presentations and people sharing master classes and everybody creating their own courses and the drill, like there's such a lessening of accuracy in what people are saying. Like I don't know if what you're sharing is real truth and fact, and now you're forcing me to do the additional work of having to go figure that out for myself, if someone's even going to do that. Best add either your citations or add your links somewhere or resource section. Just absolve the problem in one place. Personally, this is my personal point. There is so much information relayed in these events, and this laziness of blind acceptance of what's being shared has really become a problem, in my opinion. I'm going to be honest. So just back up your statements. I mean, let's go back to when we were in school, we had to back up what we were saying. That feels like a lost art, like handwriting, but here we are. All right.
And Vicky, before we actually keep going, we had a couple questions in the Zoom chat that I did want to surface up. Jason had a great question, and I wanted to ask a second question on top of it. If you can sort of define what an all here now exercise looks like, and really like the goal of those exercises. And then I have one more follow-up question on that.
Which exercises?
Like an all here exercise, like something to kind of get everybody present back on the call. If you can talk a little bit more about those and how you design.
Yeah, I mean, I have a proclivity for grounding practices. That's how I do things in my personal life. You may have, if you got on the call right when it was opened, I was smudging you with some Palo Santo. Yes. Okay. There's a placebo effect there, right? Maybe you either believe in what I'm doing or you do not. And that is fine. But my intention is that I am working toward bringing us all into a space. So that would be a breath energizer. That would be the thumb. I call it a thumb war. I don't even know if it has a name, but like that thumb war, it can add a laugh. Laughter brings people together. It's these different ways of thinking about what pulls people into community. If you're thinking about, well, at the raw root, right? Like, how do I feel like I belong? I'm laughing with these people around me. I feel like I've been invited. I feel like my voice is allowed in and can, in fact, be heard. It can be just constant ways of you ensuring there is an invitation. So I invite you to speak now. This is like a perfect example of bringing everybody together. We're going to pause right in the middle of this presentation, which is atypical usually, right? And we're going to do some questions now. And if you want your voice to be heard, you can get off mute, you can chat. It's I don't even have a list I always go to. I honestly make it up the day of. Like I did the breathing exercise today, right before this. Like I'm like, where do I think I want to be? I don't know, but I can certainly add those to my resource list that's at the end of this.
I love that. And then that perfectly leads into my second question there is when you are designing these and you're actually like popping them into the call, is there like a flow or a tempo that you recommend for anybody that's new to this, doing this for the first time? Is it a start and end thing? Is it a every 20 minutes during the call? For somebody that's just approaching this for the first time, they've never touched this before, what is kind of like the easy mental template that they can follow to get more comfortable here?
Sure. Here are the big hitters. Psychologically, people are able to sit and consume information for a maximum within a day, 3 hours, consumption of information, and then do what they want with it. So with that being known, if you're doing some sort of a summit or a conference online, recognizing that the breaks need to be hefty, 20 minutes is not enough. So people can be in a zone doing interactive for 90 minutes at a pop with a total of 3 hours. So it's way shorter than what we are all have been living in, which goes against what we know and believe to be true. And so when you go against what you know and believe to be true, but it goes along with psychological science, you could look it up. I will find it for you. I know I just talked about citations. I'll find it. Then people will want to return to what it is you are providing consistently because you're meeting them where they are. And so then, yes, that's a big hitter. And then my second point is people don't take advantage of the energizer breaks of any kind. Typically, I would really advise if you have 1 hour, let's say you're talking for an hour, every hour I would put one at minimum, and it can be a 1 minute of time, but just something to be like, hey guys, we're just human here.
Love that. We got a lot of love in the chat for the sentence that you noted of just like 20 minutes, breaks every 20 minutes are really not enough.
Yeah,
so
right.
I definitely just shouted you out for that. Last question before I hand over the mic back to you, it was from Whitney, which was, would you back up the citations in chat or follow up? Like, what is the best way to share citations in a visual way?
Right. So if you saw the preceding slide where I said for my analyzers, here are some stats. I did 2 things. One, I put the stat directly after I put the citation directly after the stat. So if you want to just find it on your own, you can. If people request, hey, I'd love your slides in a PDF, they're hyperlinked. So that's at your call. Then lastly, the third option is I have a resources page for you that has items there that I've used. And so I'll have it there that you all will take with you if you choose, but I can certainly share the slides. That one of those cascading effects, and ask people what they want. Like, I don't have to know it all, and thank God. So I could just ask you, do you want the slides or not? You know what I mean? Yeah. Make it a conversation.
Love that.